I'm glad that you came to Jerusalem. It's for us always strengthening us, the fact that you are, as members of parliament in different parts of the world, coming to be with us and to identify with the state of Israel and to be with us in the good times and the bad times. That's the matters of being Jewish and being friends and brothers. I think you jump another two things. I've been in the last government Minister of Interior and in charge of the Secret Services and the Atomic Energy Committee. And I would like to talk to you about the situation in which Israel is and what I think we should do. Of course, I don't agree with the government point of view about this, and that's what I'm going to try to deliberate on it. I believe that Israel is in a deadlock. In the situation in which we are, this government, in matter of fact, stopped all the process of peace while we were very close to achieve peace with Palestinians. When our government falls, a few years ago, in 2008, we were very, very close to finalize an agreement with the Palestinians. The agreement was standing on the basis that we agreed, in matter of fact, to give them back the territory, most of the territory of the 67 borders, while with some swaps. The Palestinians agreed at that time to be demilitarized. It was agreed with them. There was no problem that they have to recognize Jewish state or say it wasn't even on the table. Nobody objected at the time. And then our government falls, we cannot move on. Matter of fact, I don't know if you read, there was a big article in the Yediot Ahronot a few months ago from the memories of Mr. Olmert, which was the prime minister at that time. We described that Abu Mazen had been in his house, and the end of one of the last meetings they have, he finalized an agreement with Abu Mazen. He put it on the table, he signed it up, and said to Abu Mazen, here's my pen, sign it, let's finish it. And they come to an agreement between themselves about borders, about everything. Abu Mazen asked for a few more days and never came back. And therefore, it's dead because Olmert, of course, was out of the system. Tzipi Livni was elected in Kadima to be the chairman of Kadima. I was one of her competitors, and she failed to establish a government. I'm sorry for that. It is, in my opinion, a failure, because otherwise we will be over the peace treaty. And I think in this situation, this government, when they come into with their point of view, not to agree to go back to 67 borders, it's a situation that, in matter of fact, the Palestinians rejected, especially when the government did not agree as well to make some kind of freezing during the negotiation on building in the West Bank. And I'm sorry to say that this government put us in a situation of a deadlock and isolated Israel all over the world. You see it much more better than the government sees it. I saw it many times being in different international bodies like the IPU, OECD, political committees of Europe, the European Parliament, the Council of Europe, which I'm representing the Knesset in many states. You can see that we are almost totally isolated. Not because the fact that the Arabs and the non-identifying countries and the Africans are going against us, but lately also our friends are going against us. Otherwise, one cannot explain why suddenly all the countries in South America, which were one of the first to recognize the state of Israel in 1948 and vote for it in the United Nations, suddenly supporting establishing a Palestinian state on 67 borders. People are quite coming to some situation because of this government that put us in a deadlock. They're coming to a situation to say there is nobody to talk to. So if there is nobody to talk to, we want to support Palestinians. I must say it is really amazing how this government lost every possibility of supporting the world, not only because of its own stance, but also by their failure to explaining the situation in Israel, which Israel is in. And matter of fact, they neglected the world for the Palestinians, which have a big achievement to achieve a lot of support all over the world to support them in the United Nations in September to declare Palestinian state of 67 borders. Not that this decision, if it will pass, if it will come to the United Nations, it will pass. No doubt about it. It will not create a Palestinian state, of course. But from the political point of view, it's a big victory for the Palestinians. Then they will start to say you are not stick to the United Nations resolution, and start to blame us all over the world to say you are not fulfilling the request of the United Nations. It will create more problems to Israel. And I said to Netanyahu before he went to the United States, be wise. I asked him, really, personally, on the stage of the Knesset, I can repeat it here. We are quite good friends. Doesn't matter that we are in different parties. We're still good friends. But I'm not worried about Netanyahu. I'm not worried about my party. I'm not worried about anyone. I'm worried about the state of Israel. And I said to the Knesset, on the stage of the Knesset, to Mr. Netanyahu, you know, I don't understand why you came back to be again prime minister. For what? To have all the heat again? Prime ministers should not make any political calculation. You should either make a history, or you will be a history. You have a chance now to make a history. Call up for peace. You're going to the United States. Say to Obama that you are willing to establish a Palestinian state on the borders on the basis of the borders of 67. If you say it, you kill the Palestinians at once. As a matter of fact, you blocking all of their claims. Because that's what they're asking all the time. We want a Palestinian state of 67 borders. I said, okay, say we're willing to go back from those territories on the basis of 67, which means we're not going literally to 67 borders, but we are keeping the main settlements, the big settlements. We cannot uproot them, but we will make swap. If we keep 5%, we give you 5% in different places from our territory. If you say so, they have no more claims for that. That's exactly what they're asking for making peace. So let's give it to them. I would like to separate ourselves from the Palestinians as fast as possible. I'm sorry we didn't do it 30 years ago. We could do it in half price. But there was no vision to do it. I'm speaking about it in the last, even when I was a member of the Likud, even when I ran to be the leader of the Likud against Sharon and against Olmert at the time in 1999, that was my stance when I ran in the Likud. I believe that the fact that we are keeping with us the Palestinians, it's dramatic to the future of Israel. It is risking, in my opinion, the existence as a Jewish state. I don't want that in Israel will be another 4 million Palestinians, citizens of Israel. Some of the Palestinians start to say it publicly. We don't want a state. We want to be part and parcel of the state of Israel. They say Judah and Samaria is part of Israel. Just give us passports. We want to be citizens of Israel. If that happens, they don't have to make any fighting against Israel. They can take oath the government, the Knesset. They can do whatever they want by democracy. Of course, they're in the right-wing parties. They say, no, they can be citizens of Israel, but we do not let them to vote. Who will accept it in the world? It's blindness to think that the world will accept a situation in which we're having citizens which are not voting. I don't want them to vote. I don't want to be part of Israel. I want to separate from them. And let's say it on the advance. Except of saying 67 borders, basis of 67 borders, there is a big issue of Jerusalem. And I may ask you frankly, could you tell me what is the fact that strengthening Jerusalem by the fact that we are holding inside Jerusalem 250,000 Palestinians with all those Palestinian neighborhoods? Because somebody in 1967 in this euphoria have to keep pen and paint some border of Jerusalem and say that's Greater Jerusalem. Who needs them? We are paying to those people in East Jerusalem alone, allowances, entitlements, 1 billion shekel a year, except of financing their education, their health, their food, their infrastructure, everything. What it is in it that's strengthening Jerusalem? I think it's weakening Jerusalem. And I want to give it up. Let them build their capital, so-called, in East Jerusalem. Why not? And I'm not speaking about the old city. Old city is not a Palestinian problem. I don't want to talk with them about it. Maybe it is Islamic problem. It is Christian problem. It is Jewish problem. We have to find a situation, a solution to all those religions in the old city of Jerusalem. The claims of the Palestinians of Jerusalem, it is ridiculous. There never been a Palestinian state, never. I asked them in the IPU last time in Panama, I said, could you tell me, all the Arabs, if you had the Palestinian states and claims about Jerusalem, what was the name of this state? Who was their prime minister? What was the budget of this state? What was its own capital? There never been a Palestinian state. And the claim on Jerusalem is the most ridiculous one because Jerusalem is our capital not since Camp David, but since King David. So there is no matter for Israel to say the old city could be discussed with the Palestinians. I'm willing to recognize and to honor every religion in all Jerusalem. We have to find a kind of arrangement internationally how we manage old city of Jerusalem. But except of that, I don't care to hold those neighborhoods of Jerusalem and still keeping him, financing them, why we have so many poverty in Israel. We should give it up. And let me be frankly with you, without paying this price, we will not have peace with Palestinians. We will stay in the situation in which we are. And people are thinking that maybe Israel is a strong country. Yes, we have to be strong. We have to protect ourselves, no doubt about it. But what about the option that strength could be achieved through peace, general peace with the Arabs? And I'm the last 10 years, I'm preaching from every stage in Israel and also internationally to go on the way that, in my opinion, will bring us peace not only with Palestinians, but with all the Arab worlds. Because as you know, there is what I call the Arab Initiative, or the Saudian Initiative. I don't know if you have read it or heard about it. In 2002, the Saudian came with an initiative says to Israel, if you go back to 67 borders and willing to solve the problem of the Palestinian refugees by making a justified, agreeable solution to the Palestinian refugees, we're willing to make total peace with Israel, with all the Arab states, full normalization. That will be the end of the conflict between Israel and the Arabs. That I'm almost quoting word by word from this initiative. And I went to Ariel Sharon, at that time was prime minister. That time he was planning to go to disengagement from Gaza, and I told him, forget the disengagement. Why you are not picking up this initiative? Because in my opinion, that's the only way to achieve peace. I don't believe that any Palestinian leader will sign peace with Israel alone, because he will have to make a decision on his side to give up what they call the right of return to Israel. He cannot make it alone. No one will make it alone. That's the reason, in my opinion, why Arafat refused the Barack Clinton offer. But if we go through the Arab world, that could be done. And in my opinion, I tried to convince Sharon to take over and to call all the Arab states and say, come to Jerusalem. I'm willing to go to Riyadh. Let's discuss this initiative. Let's come to an agreement. I failed to convince him. I tried in government of Olmert, tried to convince Olmert. I brought it to the cabinet, security cabinet, to the government. As I told you, I was in charge of the secret services. So I know all what's going around. And I tried to convince the government to give up the efforts towards the American and go only towards the Arab world. It's an Arab-Israeli world. Let's solve it here, ourselves. Let's talk differently with the Arabs. Let's create some trust between us. If we create trust, we can solve the problem easily. If we're not creating trust, nothing will help. I failed to convince them, and I cannot agree, accept this blindness of our political leaders following the Americans on the route to only discuss with the Palestinians alone. That's a big mistake. And I try to explain why I think it's the right way. Because if you negotiate this idea with the Palestinians, with the Arab world, they say 67 borders. I assure you, not only by my perception, but by, not by assessment, but by knowing, I speak to many Arab leaders. There is no one Arab leader who thinks that it is possible that Israel will go literally to 67 borders. All of them accepted the idea of the basis of 67 borders. Means, again, if we keep 5% from the West Bank because of big settlements, we make a swap. We give them a different 5% in different places. All of them accepted it. Egypt, Jordan, Saudi, the Palestinians said it many times publicly. So that's one point solved. Second point, they said agreeable, justified solution to the Palestinian refugees. there is not even one Arab leader who think that Israel could agree to get back into Israel Palestinian refugees. So they say agreeable, which means Israel have to agree. They know that Israel would never agree to such an idea. But they say agreeable justified solution means Palestinian refugees will go back to the Palestinian state and be compensated. Like we're bringing Jews to Israel, and I think we should compensate as well the Jewish Arab refugees from the Arab world. There were more Jewish refugees from Arab countries in 1948 than Palestinian refugees from Israel. So let's compensate both of them, Jews coming to Israel, Palestinians to the Palestinian state. If we negotiated with the old Arab world, if they make a decision, that was the only way to guarantee that that peace will be serious. Because in that case, there will be no reason for the Palestinians to break it up. If all the Arabs agree with us in the normalization, why everybody will break it? That's only will be the only way to bring back the Hamas under the Palestinian Authority, because of the same reason. Why the Hamas cannot stay alone while all the Arab world make peace with Israel. And I ask myself, why the Saudis are coming up with such initiative? They didn't become to be Zionist, suddenly. The Saudis are not Zionist. They came with this initiative because they understood very well that nuclear Iran is a bigger threat to the moderate Arab world than to Israel. And the only way to isolate Iran from their point of view is to make peace with Israel, because it will change the agenda of their life and the agenda of our life. And I'm sorry that I failed to convince the prime ministers of Israel, including Netanyahu, to take over this initiative. If he will do it, he will be the king of the world. Suppose that he is coming and saying, I'm accepting to make peace on the basis of the Arab initiative. I would like, let's negotiate it. And I invite all the Arab world to come to negotiate it. One of two will happen. If they will come, he will be the king of the world. Even if they don't come, they will have to explain to the world why they don't agree. Not us. In that situation, believe what would happen in your countries, that Israelis agree to establish a Palestinian state on the basis of the Arab initiative, and they refuse. Who will support in that time? In that time, the Palestinians. So from any point of view, it's the right way to go. And I'm afraid that we are losing the possibilities, because in the meantime, what happens in the Arab world maybe can change things not only for good, could be changed for worse. Who knows? Still, it's not late. I believe that before September, the Prime Minister of Israel should go up to the United States and say that he's willing to establish a Palestinian state on the basis of 67 borders, and demand from the President of the United States to say to the Arabs, you have to give up what they call right of return. In that case, if he will say it from his initiative, from advance, he could demand it easily. So we do not have to care about what's going to happen in the future in this Palestinian state. All I want is that they will leave us alone. I would like to have a border with the Palestinian states. Let them do whatever they want in their country. We're not afraid of them. We're not afraid of Iran and Iraq and all the Arab world. We were afraid from a bunch of Palestinians. We're not afraid of them. We have the ability to protect ourselves. And we have to be afraid. And mainly, one of the big possibilities of having security is having peace. Because peace is the best security we can have if we have a really total peace and we don't have to take care anymore about that. And last thing about this point. I believe in peace all my life. Even when I was in the Likud, I'm the only one member of the Likud who did not vote against Oslo, which supported Oslo. Because I believe in peace. Even it was discipline of the party to vote against it. I didn't vote against it. Because I believe it's right to make peace with Israel. Why? Because as far as we have this security situation, it always became to be a fig tree on the nudiness of the government in the social educational matters. That always has been a good excuse. We do not have now the time, the means, the budget to take care of the poverty, of the education, of the other systems. We have to take care of security. It's right to take care of security. But as far as this reason exists, nobody is seriously really taking care of those problems. Only if we have peace, so all the intention and the means and the possibilities and the time of the leaders should be channeled to take care of the social, educational problems of Israel, which are much worse than you think. I'll give you just two numbers. In Israel of today, 52% of the children in elementary schools are Arabs or Haredim, which means more than half of the population of Israel for the future are educating not to go to the army, not to go to work, not to contribute anything to the market, and to live on the income of the other people. Of course, they're not learning any of the tools of science, technology, English, mathematics, history of Israel, citizenship, nothing, zero. So what kind of country we are building here? Which will be majority of Arabs and Haredim? That's a very nice place, but not for me to live. And we have to stop it. We have to say to those people, guys, you have to work. You have to go to the army, all of you. You have to study all the core heart of the education. It's a condition to have budget from the country. I tried to pass laws in this direction. The government, of course, defeated me in the Knesset. But I think it's a bigger danger than the Arabs to the future of Israel. So if it's not worrying you, I don't know what will worry you more. Me, it worries more than the Arabs. And therefore, that's the reason why I believe that we should, as fast as possible, giving up those territories with no hesitation, because by that we are doing good for the state of Israel. Because by that we are ensuring that we have a Jewish state, a democratic state with majority of Jews. I prefer to have much smaller territory with full majority of Jews than to have a bigger territory with a majority of Arabs. If somebody do not understand it, in a matter of fact, risking the existence of the state of Israel as a Jewish state. So I think I have been sharp enough to explain to you my stance, and if you have a question, I'll be happy to answer. Thank you.